Kieran wiped the grease from his hands on a rag that was already soaked in it. The clang of metal, the hiss of welding torches, and the faint hum of small engines filled the cramped workshop. Even in the heart of the crowded shipyard on the industrial colony of Arden Prime, life was noisy and relentless. Kieran loved it. Fixing things was what he did best. Every dent, every broken circuit, every stubborn engine part had a solution if one had patience and a steady hand. But today Kieran felt restless. Something in the air made him uneasy, as if the stars themselves were whispering that something unusual was about to happen. He shook his head and returned to the starcraft he was repairing, a tiny freighter with peeling paint and a stubborn hyperdrive. He had worked on freighters all his life. He thought he knew every circuit, every panel, every engine model there was in the colony, yet a strange feeling tickled his mind, a feeling he could not name. Then the message arrived. It came through the comm system, not as a simple text, but as a holographic projection. A woman in a sharp suit appeared in front of him, glowing faintly blue. Her voice was formal and calm, but it carried weight. "Kieran Thorne?" she asked. "That's me," Kieran replied, squinting. He rubbed his greasy hands on his overalls, suddenly aware of how ordinary he looked. "You are the legal inheritor of a vessel registered under the name Eternum, the largest ship in the galaxy," she said. Her words hung in the air, echoing in the workshop as if the walls themselves could not contain them. Kieran blinked. "I think you've made a mistake. The largest ship? I'm just a mechanic. I fix engines and panels. I don't... ships like that. That's not for me." The hologram did not change expression. "There is no mistake. The will was verified. The vessel awaits your arrival. Your skills will be tested, but it is your responsibility to claim your inheritance." The projection flickered and disappeared. Kieran sat down heavily on a stool. His heart pounded. He could not stop staring at the empty space where the hologram had been. The largest ship in the galaxy? His mind tried to picture it, but nothing he had ever seen came close. It was hard to imagine a ship bigger than an entire city, bigger than any orbital station, with systems and engines so advanced that humans like him had only read about them in old legends. The workshop around him felt suddenly small. The freighter he was repairing seemed tiny. Kieran ran his hands through his hair, and for the first time in a long while, his steady confidence wavered. He was just a mechanic. How could someone like him inherit something so enormous, so incomprehensible? Still, curiosity won over fear. Kieran cleaned up his workspace, packed his few personal belongings, and made the journey to the coordinates given in the message. He boarded a small shuttle, one that he could pilot himself, feeling the familiar hum of its engines beneath him. He tried to calm his racing thoughts by focusing on what he knew: mechanics, systems, control panels. He reminded himself that he could learn anything if he had time. As the shuttle approached the designated location, Kieran's breath caught. There it was, larger than any structure he had ever seen, floating in the void of space like a silent, sleeping giant. The ship stretched farther than his eyes could reach. Its surface shimmered with faint energy lines pulsing slowly as if it were alive. Even in the cold silence of space, it radiated presence and power. Kieran's hands trembled as he docked the shuttle. Every instinct in him screamed that this was no ordinary ship. Every fiber of his being recognized that he was standing on the edge of something vast, something beyond comprehension. He had inherited a legend. The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss. Kieran stepped through, taking careful, measured steps. The interior of the Eternum was a marvel. Corridors stretched endlessly, walls lined with panels that glowed with soft light. Strange machinery hummed quietly, and energy conduits pulsed with color and rhythm. The air smelled faintly metallic, tinged with ozone, like a storm in space. Kieran felt like he had walked into a dream, or a memory of the future. Every step he took echoed in the vast space. The ship seemed to watch him, its lights flickering in acknowledgement. Kieran felt both terrified and honored. His hands trembled again as he reached out to touch a control panel. The surface was smooth, almost liquid in texture, and the holographic interface responded instantly to his presence. He froze. The panels displayed information about distant star systems, ships, and resources he could barely recognize. A soft, melodic voice spoke from the walls. "Welcome, Captain Thorne," it said. "You are recognized. Assistance is available. Guidance may be requested at any time." Kieran stumbled back, blinking. Captain, me? I'm just a mechanic. You are now the inheritor of Eternum, the voice said. Your skills are acknowledged. Adaptation is required. Training may begin immediately. Kieran's mind reeled. The ship, it seemed, was not just a vessel. It was a living system, designed to interact, to guide, to respond. It recognized him as more than a passenger. It recognized him as its captain. He walked further into the ship, each corridor revealing more wonders. Rooms larger than entire hangars on his home colony stretched into the distance. Panels displayed information in languages he did not understand, yet somehow he could sense the meaning behind them. Every part of the ship was a puzzle, a machine of unimaginable complexity, and yet it waited for him, patient, silent, and alive. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, he could not tell. Time felt different inside the Eternum. Kieran's confidence wavered with every step. He tried to touch a console, but his hands shook so much that he almost withdrew them. He wondered if he was ready, if he could ever truly command something so vast. Finally, he reached the bridge, a massive room with panoramic windows overlooking the starfield. Control panels stretched across the room, but what caught Kieran's attention were the holographic projections of galaxies, planets, and fleets floating in the air. The ship was not only huge, it was aware, connected, and capable of things he had only dreamed of in old human myths about the stars. The voice spoke again. Captain Thorne, preliminary orientation is complete. You may explore further or request guidance on essential functions. Kieran closed his eyes for a moment. His hands, still trembling, gripped the edge of a console. He felt small, almost insignificant, yet somehow part of something much larger. The Eternum had chosen him. It had waited for a human, and now it was his responsibility. What do I do first? Kieran asked aloud, his voice barely a whisper. Observation and adaptation are recommended, the ship replied. Human intuition is unique. Systems are designed to complement it. Kieran exhaled slowly. He could do this. He had always solved problems with logic, hands-on skills, and creativity. Perhaps that was exactly what the ship needed. Not a commander who only knew tactics, but a mechanic who could see solutions where others saw only complexity. He walked along the bridge, touching consoles, observing holographic displays, and learning the rhythms of the ship. Slowly, the trembling in his hands lessened. He realized that fear was natural, but it would not define him. Eternum was massive, ancient, and powerful, but it was also waiting for him to grow into the role, and Kieran would. For the first time in his life, he felt the weight of destiny resting on his shoulders. But alongside it came a sense of purpose he had never known. Humanity had always reached for the stars with small, humble steps. Now Kieran would take the first giant stride aboard the galaxy's largest ship, not as a passenger, not as a mere mechanic, but as a human capable of achieving the impossible. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. Inside, the ship hummed with life, and somewhere deep in the corridors, Kieran felt a pulse, a silent promise that together, human and ship could face whatever the galaxy would throw at them. Kieran Thorne, a simple human mechanic, had entered a legend, and the galaxy would never be the same. Kieran spent hours walking through the corridors of the Eternum. Every hallway stretched farther than he imagined possible. The walls glowed faintly with moving energy lines, and strange hums vibrated beneath his feet. Machines whirred and pulsed as though the ship were alive. It was impossible to tell where one room ended and another began. Every chamber was vast, each more advanced than any ship Kieran had ever repaired, or even dreamed of repairing. He paused in a large hangar, staring at the size of the ship itself. Docked craft, smaller than freighters he had worked on, looked like toys against the colossal interior. Kieran's hands shook as he imagined piloting a ship of such scale. One wrong move and the consequences could be catastrophic. Yet despite the fear, he could not stop himself from exploring further. This is unbelievable, he whispered, his voice echoing. A soft light flickered in the corner. A holographic figure appeared, transparent but detailed, a guide, an assistant of some sort. Its voice was calm, soothing, and almost musical. Welcome, Captain Thorne, it said. I am your assistant. My purpose is to help you understand the Eternum systems. Would you like a guided orientation? Kieran nodded slowly. Yes, I think I do. I don't even know where to start. The hologram smiled faintly. The Eternum is designed to respond to human intuition. Its systems are vast, but you will adapt. Let us begin with essential functions. The projection guided him through the basics: energy distribution, navigation, communications, and life support. Every system was more complex than anything Kieran had ever imagined. Energy conduits stretched through the ship like veins, powering engines, shields, and automated systems that could repair themselves. Control panels responded instantly to thought patterns as well as touch. The ship seemed to anticipate Kieran's questions before he even asked them. Kieran ran his fingers over a holographic display. Star systems, coordinates, and distant galaxies swirled around him. "It's too much," he muttered. "I'm just a mechanic, not a captain of the galaxy's largest ship." "Human skills are unique," the hologram replied. "Your creativity and adaptability will allow you to master systems beyond their designed limits. Fear is natural. Adaptation is possible." Kieran exhaled and took a step deeper into the bridge. He noticed a small room tucked behind a corridor, filled with strange machinery that looked like it belonged in an alien museum. He peered inside and saw panels covered in symbols he could not decipher. One console pulsed softly. When he touched it, a holographic display emerged, showing a map of the galaxy with countless ships, stations, and colonies. Kieran's eyes widened. "I've never seen anything like this." "Eternum is not just a ship," the hologram explained. "It is a repository of knowledge. It can store data, manage fleets, and interact with other civilizations. Its purpose is beyond mere transportation. It is a living archive and a guardian." Kieran felt both awe and fear. He had inherited something beyond human comprehension, yet the ship had recognized him, a simple mechanic, as its captain. For a moment, he allowed himself to imagine the possibilities. Exploring uncharted star systems, protecting colonies, discovering alien civilizations, and then doubt crept back in. What if I fail? What if I can't handle this? He wandered through the hangars, watching smaller ships moving with precision, guided by the Eternum systems. He ran his hands over a panel, feeling a faint vibration. Suddenly, alarms flashed in the distance. Red lights streaked across the walls. Kieran froze. "System check required," the hologram said calmly. "Sensors detect a minor power fluctuation in the outer energy conduits. Immediate attention is suggested." Kieran's stomach tightened. He had never dealt with something this complex before. Yet he approached the panel, tracing the energy lines with his hands. His mechanical intuition, honed from years of fixing engines and circuits, began to guide him. He noticed a tiny misalignment in the energy regulator. Carefully, he adjusted it. The alarm ceased. The hologram observed silently. "Human ingenuity is effective. Observation and adjustment successful. Your hands may tremble, but your skill is exceptional." Kieran exhaled, a mixture of relief and pride washing over him. He realized something important. His human creativity and problem-solving were valuable even aboard a ship designed to function on its own. The Eternum may have systems beyond comprehension, but it needed him. He continued exploring, moving from one enormous chamber to another. One room was filled with artificial gravity manipulators, which controlled the orientation of the ship itself. Another chamber contained a garden of alien plants, feeding on faint lights and recycled air. Kieran marveled at the care that went into every detail. This was not just a machine. It was a home, a sanctuary, and a weapon, all rolled into one. Hours passed, or maybe days. Kieran could not tell. Time seemed different inside the Eternum. The ship responded to him, guiding him through corridors, illuminating paths, and presenting information when needed. He began to feel a rhythm, a connection to something far greater than himself. Then the first real challenge arrived. Sensors detected a small asteroid cluster heading toward a nearby research outpost. Kieran's first instinct was to panic, but he remembered the lessons of his past. Stay calm, observe the problem, and find a solution. He ran to the navigation console and projected the map of the sector. The cluster moved fast, and the outpost had no defenses capable of handling it. "This is it," he murmured. "I have to do something." The hologram spoke softly. "Suggested action. Reroute ship's energy to external shields and create a gravitational field to divert the asteroids. Human judgment required for precision." Kieran's hands trembled, but he started issuing commands. The ship's systems hummed and pulsed in response. He felt the feedback through the console, adjusting the shields and gravity fields bit by bit. Energy flowed from one system to another, guided by his decisions and intuition. Minutes felt like hours, but gradually, The asteroid cluster began to change course, veering away from the outpost. Kieran's heart raced as he fine-tuned the controls. Finally, the danger passed. The sensors confirmed that the outpost was safe. The hologram's voice spoke again.
Successful intervention.
Human intuition exceeded expected parameters. Your hands may tremble, yet your mind adapts beyond conventional calculations. Kieran sank into the captain's chair, sweat on his brow, and a wide smile spreading across his face. He had done it. Against his fear, against the enormity of the task, he had succeeded. For the first time, he realized that human determination and creativity could match even the most advanced technology in the galaxy. As he rested, Kieran began to explore the personal quarters of the ship. They were unlike anything he had expected. Comfortable, functional, and filled with strange devices that could anticipate his needs. The room seemed designed to make him feel at home. He found a small console labeled Memory Archive and hesitated before activating it. Images of his predecessor, his distant relative who had built or commissioned the Eternum, appeared. He saw star systems charted, alien civilizations contacted, and missions accomplished that spanned decades. Kieran felt a connection, realizing that he was not just inheriting a ship. He was inheriting a legacy of exploration, protection, and discovery. For the first time, his hands stopped trembling entirely. Fear was still there, but it had transformed into excitement and resolve.
He could do this.
He had to do this, not just for himself, but for the countless lives that the ship could protect and guide. As Kieran drifted toward sleep in the vast, quiet corridors of the Eternum, he felt a pulse beneath him, a steady, almost heartbeat-like vibration. The ship was alive. It had accepted him, and somewhere deep within, Kieran knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy awaited, and he was ready to take the first step. Kieran awoke to the gentle hum of the Eternum. The vast ship seemed to breathe around him, as if aware that its captain was stirring. His first night aboard had been quiet, almost reverent, but now the real test began. He was no longer just exploring. He needed to understand the ship in motion, to see if he could truly command it. The bridge was empty except for the soft glow of consoles. Kieran ran his hands over the panels, feeling the energy of the ship beneath his fingertips. Every light, every pulse of power seemed to respond to his presence. He could almost sense the pathways of energy and the flow of information, as if the ship itself were communicating silently. "Ready to begin propulsion systems?" asked the holographic assistant, its voice calm. Kieran nodded. "Yes, let's start slow. I need to feel how the ship moves." The engines rumbled beneath him, a sound that was almost musical in its power. The Eternum began to glide forward slowly, then faster, the corridors vibrating gently as the vast energy moved through the ship. Kieran gripped the controls tightly, his hands trembling slightly at first but gradually steadied. Every adjustment he made sent feedback through the consoles, teaching him how the ship responded. As he gained confidence, he ventured further. The ship was larger than any city, with systems designed for tasks far beyond simple navigation. He activated automated sensors and scanning arrays, watching as the ship mapped nearby star systems in exquisite detail. Unknown asteroids, energy fields, and small vessels appeared on the displays. The Eternum could handle these on its own, but Kieran realized that his human intuition could solve problems the AI could not anticipate. Hours into the test, the first visitors arrived, alien ships from a nearby star system. Kieran had seen their markings before in his grandfather's old records, scouts curious and cautious. Their ships approached cautiously, weapons retracted, scanning the massive vessel. Kieran felt a wave of nervousness. The aliens were likely watching him, waiting to see if the human could control the legendary Eternum. He inhaled deeply and reminded himself of what he had learned. Patience and observation, improvisation when necessary. "Trust your instincts," the hologram whispered. "They are scanning. Human action required if engagement occurs." Kieran focused on the sensors, letting the information flow into his mind. He could see that the alien ships were calculating, trying to determine if he posed a threat. He initiated a non-threatening greeting protocol, projecting a holographic message of peace and curiosity. The alien ships hesitated, then slowly lowered their shields. "Successful first contact," the hologram said. "Your human initiative created a favorable outcome." Kieran let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. The aliens were cautious but intrigued. That small success gave him confidence. The galaxy might be vast and dangerous, but humans had a unique advantage: the ability to improvise, to think beyond rules and calculations. His next challenge came unexpectedly. The Eternum detected a spatial anomaly, a small, unstable rift near a nearby planet. If ignored, the rift could destabilize the system, endangering civilian colonies. The holographic assistant outlined a plan, but the AI hesitated to fully act. "Manual human judgment is recommended," it said. Kieran's hands trembled as he approached the control panel. The anomaly was complex, shifting unpredictably. Energy fields and gravitational distortions twisted and bent the sensors, making automated solutions unreliable. He took a deep breath. He had fixed complex engines and malfunctioning hyperdrives before. This was different, but not impossible. He rerouted power from non-essential systems, adjusting shields and energy flows to stabilize the rift. His mind raced with calculations, but more importantly, he relied on intuition. He visualized the energy paths, imagined how the forces interacted, and guided the ship's systems accordingly. Slowly, the anomaly began to stabilize. The readings normalized. Kieran felt the first true surge of pride in his chest. He had succeeded. The alien scouts watching from a distance observed the event with awe. Kieran noticed their movements in the sensor array: hesitation, curiosity, and cautious admiration. His actions had demonstrated human ingenuity and courage, qualities that could not be measured by machines alone. Even as he celebrated this small victory, Kieran knew there was more to learn. The ship was vast, ancient, and filled with unknown systems. He wandered through the Eternum, exploring energy conduits, engineering chambers, and navigation nodes. Every room presented puzzles and challenges. He calibrated gravity control systems, fine-tuned energy conduits, and optimized life support loops. Each adjustment, each small success built his confidence. By the time Kieran returned to the bridge, he felt a subtle change within himself. The trembling of his hands was no longer constant. It came only in moments of great challenge, and even then it reminded him to focus, to plan, and to act with precision. Fear had not disappeared, but it had transformed into determination. Suddenly, a new alert appeared. An unknown fleet was approaching from beyond the mapped sector. Their ships were fast, sleek, and heavily armed. Kieran's heart raced. The hologram spoke calmly. "Unknown fleet detected. Assessment suggests cautious approach. Human judgment required for engagement or evasion." Kieran swallowed hard. He had never commanded in a battle. His experience was repairing ships, not piloting them through conflict. Yet he remembered something important. The Eternum was built to adapt to human creativity. It trusted him, and he trusted his instincts. He accessed tactical displays, observing the enemy's formation. Automated calculations suggested a defensive maneuver, but Kieran noticed something the AI did not: a weak point in the enemy's approach, a chance to avoid direct confrontation while demonstrating strength. He issued commands, rerouting energy to shields, adjusting engines for evasive patterns, and projecting a signal of overwhelming size. The alien fleet hesitated, clearly surprised by the maneuver. Kieran felt a thrill of exhilaration. This was no longer theory. This was real. His human intuition had guided the galaxy's largest ship, and for a moment, he felt the power and responsibility of true command. As the fleet veered away, avoiding conflict, Kieran leaned back in the captain's chair, letting out a long breath. He had survived the first test of command. The galaxy was watching, and he had proven that humans could face challenges no machine or alien could anticipate alone. The hologram observed him silently. "Your actions confirm human potential. Hands may tremble, but your mind adapts. Eternum recognizes your capability." Kieran smiled faintly. He was still learning, still adjusting, but the path ahead was clearer. He had faced alien observers, controlled unimaginable systems, and proven his resourcefulness and courage. Each challenge taught him more about the ship, about himself, and about the unique qualities humans could offer to the galaxy. Hours passed, then days. Kieran moved through the ship, exploring systems, refining controls, and establishing routines. He discovered hidden chambers, redundant systems, and ancient archives. Each discovery was a testament to the care and foresight of the ship's original creators. Yet even in their advanced design, They had left room for human creativity, leaving Kieran to realize a profound truth. Humans were not just capable, they were essential. By the end of the week, Kieran had fully adapted to the basics of the ship. He could navigate through asteroid fields, stabilize anomalies, communicate with alien scouts, and operate the Eternum's systems with precision. His hands no longer trembled constantly. Now they were steady, confident, and ready. Standing in the bridge overlooking the stars, Kieran felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had inherited the largest ship in the galaxy, a living legend of technology and power, and yet it was not the size or strength of the ship that mattered most. It was the combination of human ingenuity, courage, and creativity that allowed it to reach its true potential. Kieran smiled to himself. The galaxy had underestimated humans before. Perhaps it would learn a new lesson now. He turned to the hologram. "Prepare a full diagnostic report. I want to know everything about this ship, its systems, and its capabilities. If I'm going to command the Eternum, I need to understand it completely." "Understood, Captain Thorne," the hologram replied. "Report generation initiated. Recommendation: continued exploration and system adaptation for optimal performance." Kieran leaned back in his chair, gazing out at the stars. He had come a long way from the small shipyards of Arden Prime. The trembling hands of a mechanic had become the steady hands of a captain. The Eternum was awake, alive, and ready for the challenges ahead. And so was he. The trials of command had begun. The galaxy watched silently, and a human, once unsure and hesitant, was ready to prove that human ingenuity and courage could match the vastness of the stars themselves. The calm of space never lasted for long. Kieran had begun to trust the Eternum, exploring its vast systems and learning to guide its incredible power. But now the ship was calling him toward a new challenge. Sensors had detected a disturbance in a nearby sector, one that threatened a cluster of human and alien colonies. Kieran stood on the bridge, hands steady on the controls, staring at the starfield projected before him. The disturbance was unusual. A rogue asteroid field mixed with unstable energy streams moving in unpredictable patterns. It could obliterate ships, stations, and entire colonies if left unchecked. This is bad," Kieran muttered, trying to keep his voice calm. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "These are lives at stake. I can't fail." "Captain," the holographic assistant said, "suggested course of action. Deploy defensive energy fields and project gravitational manipulation to stabilize the sector. Human intuition required for precise adjustments." Kieran nodded. The Eternum could have handled it automatically. But this was a situation no AI could predict fully. Only a human could see the subtle changes in the energy patterns and react creatively. He drew a deep breath and began issuing commands, feeling the energy of the ship flow through him. The asteroid field was relentless. Rocks the size of buildings twisted and spun, while streams of unstable energy surged unpredictably. Kieran rerouted power from non-essential systems, directing it toward shields and gravitational projectors. He worked quickly, adjusting energy flows, predicting movements, and improvising solutions where the ship's calculations faltered. Minutes stretched into tense hours. The colonies below held their breath, unaware that a human captain in the galaxy's largest ship was guiding the outcome. Kieran's hands trembled at first, but he focused on the rhythm of the ship, letting instinct take over. He imagined the paths of the asteroids, felt the flow of energy through the conduits, and adjusted with a steady hand. Finally, the movement slowed. The energy stream stabilized. The asteroid field shifted safely away from inhabited worlds. Kieran exhaled, relief flooding him. He had done it. For the first time, he realized how essential human intuition and creativity were, even aboard a vessel designed to handle unimaginable tasks. Just as he was about to rest, the sensors detected something unexpected. Alien ships. Not scouts this time, but a full fleet, moving with purpose and coordination. Their markings were unfamiliar, but their approach was clear. They were testing him. Perhaps they doubted that a human could command the Eternum, or perhaps they wanted the sector for themselves. Kieran felt a surge of adrenaline. He had faced smaller fleets before, but this was different. The Eternum was vast and powerful, yet he could not rely solely on its automated systems. He needed to think, adapt, and act creatively, just as he had done with the asteroid field. Assess their formation, Kieran commanded. Find weaknesses and plot evasive and defensive options simultaneously. The holographic assistant projected a three-dimensional map of the fleet. The ships were sleek and fast, but Kieran noticed gaps in their formation. The AI had suggested a straightforward defensive maneuver, but Kieran saw an opportunity. Using the ship's massive size and advanced systems, he could intimidate and outmaneuver the enemy without firing a single shot. He rerouted energy to the Eternum's outer shields and activated a low-frequency pulse designed to simulate mass and movement, making the ship appear even larger and more formidable than it already was. The alien fleet hesitated, sensors detecting the unusual readings. Kieran then projected holographic duplicates of the ship, confusing the fleet further. The enemy commander adjusted, but Kieran's next move surprised them completely. Using precise gravitational manipulation, he shifted minor asteroid fragments from the nearby belt to create a natural barrier between the fleet and the colonies. The maneuver was dangerous. If mistimed, it could have destroyed everything, but Kieran relied on instinct and careful observation. The fleet faltered. They slowed, then retreated. The colonies were safe, and the threat passed. Kieran's hands were no longer trembling. They were steady, confident. He realized that fear was not the enemy. Hesitation was. Courage, combined with knowledge and intuition, allowed humans to confront challenges far larger than themselves. Kieran leaned back in the captain's chair, taking a moment to absorb what had just happened. The Eternum hummed beneath him, almost in approval, as if acknowledging his growth. He had faced his first real galactic threat and had emerged victorious, not through sheer power alone, but through human ingenuity. As he reviewed the battle logs, he noticed something else. The alien fleet had scanned the Eternum repeatedly, sending data back to their own command. Kieran realized that his actions had shown the galaxy the potential of a human captain. He wasn't just defending colonies. He was making a statement. Hours later, Kieran explored another section of the ship, the engineering bays. He had always felt at home among machinery, but the Eternum systems were beyond anything he had ever seen. Energy conduits stretched like rivers and engines pulsed with a rhythm that seemed alive. He walked along the corridors, feeling the hum of power, adjusting minor systems to optimize efficiency. He discovered redundant control nodes, ancient backup systems designed for emergencies, and a central data archive filled with star maps, alien languages, and galactic histories. The ship was a treasure trove of knowledge. Kieran realized that to command it fully, he needed not only skill but understanding of the galaxy itself. The next day, another challenge arrived. A small human colony was in danger from a massive energy storm approaching from a nearby star. Automated systems could not predict the storm's chaotic movement. Kieran took command, analyzing energy patterns, magnetic fields, and stellar emissions. Using the ship's advanced technology, he stabilized the storm's energy and redirected its path, saving the colony once again. Word spread quickly across the sector. Aliens and humans alike began to take notice of the human captain of the galaxy's largest ship. Kieran had not sought recognition. He only wanted to learn, to explore, and to protect. Yet his actions spoke louder than words. For the first time, Kieran allowed himself to feel a sense of pride. He had inherited something unimaginable, and he was proving that humans, though small compared to the galaxy, could achieve the impossible. He had grown beyond the trembling hands of a mechanic into the confident hands of a captain. Late that night, Kieran stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, full of wonders and dangers alike. He realized that the Eternum was not just a ship. It was a challenge, a responsibility, and a symbol of human potential. The holographic assistant appeared beside him. "Captain Thorne, your actions have been observed. Your growth is remarkable. Human intuition and creativity have proven essential. The galaxy is beginning to notice." Kieran smiled faintly. "I don't do this for attention. I do it because it's the right thing and because I can." The assistant nodded. "A true human perspective. The Eternum was waiting for someone like you." As he left the observation deck, Kieran felt a deep sense of connection with the ship. The trials had tested him and he had grown. The galaxy had tested him and he had risen. But he knew that the challenges ahead would only grow larger. There were alien empires, uncharted sectors, and unknown dangers, and yet for the first time he felt ready to face them. The Eternum thrummed beneath him, alive and aware. Kieran placed a hand on the console, feeling the pulse of energy. Together, they would explore the stars, defend the innocent, and show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. For Kieran Thorne, the journey had only begun. The trials of command were far from over, but he was no longer afraid. The hands that once trembled now guided the largest ship in the galaxy with skill, courage, and human ingenuity. The stars beckoned, and Kieran was ready. Kieran Thorne stood on the bridge of the Eternum, gazing out at the endless stars. The galaxy stretched before him, vast and mysterious, but he no longer felt small or uncertain. Over weeks of trials, challenges, and first contacts, he had learned to trust both himself and the living ship he now commanded. His hands, once trembling at every touch, were steady, guiding the colossal vessel with confidence and precision. The calm was deceptive. Sensor alerts flashed across the consoles. An alien armada, larger and more organized than any he had faced, was approaching a cluster of human colonies. These were ships built for war, sleek and deadly. They had detected the Eternum and were coming to challenge it, or perhaps to test the human captain who had quickly gained a reputation across the sector. Kieran exhaled slowly, centering himself. Fear had been a constant companion, but he had learned to use it to turn it into focus. He analyzed the fleet carefully. They were fast, agile, and heavily armed, but Kieran's mind was already racing. The Eternum was not just a ship. It was a network of systems, energy flows, and hidden strengths. If he could coordinate them, he could face even the most powerful fleet without firing a single shot. "Prepare the ship," Kieran commanded, voice steady. "Shields to maximum. Deploy external decoys and energy projections. We are going to show them human ingenuity." The holographic assistant projected a tactical map. "Captain, the fleet's approach patterns suggest high aggression. Manual human judgment recommended for optimal outcome." Kieran nodded. He had faced smaller fleets before, but this was different. This was a full-scale test, a demonstration of the power of human intuition paired with the galaxy's largest ship. The alien armada advanced, weapons primed. Kieran studied their formation, noting patterns, weaknesses, and rhythms. Then he acted, issuing commands that combined the ship's massive strength with subtle maneuvers and creative strategies. The Eternum pulsed with energy, shield shimmering and external energy fields projecting holographic duplicates of the ship. Kieran rerouted power, adjusting gravity fields to shift minor asteroids into the enemy's path, creating natural obstacles that disrupted their coordination. The fleet faltered, confused by the unpredictable movements of the massive vessel. Kieran leaned forward, hands steady on the console. "Adjust shields to reinforce weaker sectors. Synchronize energy pulses with decoy projections. Make the ship appear twice its actual size." The holographic assistant assisted, providing calculations, but Kieran relied on instinct. He had learned that human creativity often outpaced even the most advanced AI. The alien fleet could calculate probabilities, but it could not anticipate improvisation, intuition, and boldness. The fleet hesitated, then attempted to flank the Eternum. Kieran anticipated the move. He activated a gravitational pulse that shifted nearby debris, forcing the enemy into narrow lanes. The ships collided with minor asteroids, slowing their approach. Energy projections created illusions of multiple massive vessels. Confusion spread through their ranks. Kieran's heart pounded, but his hands remained steady. He gave clear, precise commands, directing the ship like a maestro guiding an orchestra. Shields adjusted, energy flowed, decoys shifted, and the armada found itself unable to coordinate effectively. Finally, the enemy commander ordered a retreat. Kieran exhaled, realizing that the colonies were safe. He had faced the greatest challenge yet and emerged victorious. Not through brute force alone, but through a combination of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptation. The hologram spoke softly. "Captain Thorne, your actions have exceeded expectations. The alien fleet recognizes your capability. Human intuition combined with Eternum systems has demonstrated unmatched potential." Kieran allowed himself a small smile. He had proven that humans could not only survive in the galaxy, but thrive and lead in ways no machine or alien could fully predict. The next days were filled with recognition and attention. Human and alien colonies sent messages of gratitude, and reports of Kieran's deeds spread across sectors. The legend of the human mechanic who inherited the galaxy's largest ship grew rapidly. Kieran did not seek fame, but he understood the importance of his role. Humanity had always been underestimated, and now the galaxy was beginning to see its true potential. Kieran spent time exploring the Eternum further. He discovered hidden archives containing knowledge of ancient civilizations, technologies, and long-lost star routes. He realized that the ship was more than a vessel of power. It was a guardian and teacher, waiting for a human mind capable of understanding and guiding it. He walked through engineering chambers, recalibrating systems and fine-tuning energy flows. Each adjustment, though minor, increased the efficiency of the ship. He visited the observation deck, gazing at distant star systems, and felt a deep connection to the galaxy. He was not merely a captain, he was a part of a greater story, one that humanity was only beginning to write. One evening, while reviewing star charts, Kieran detected a distress signal from an unexplored system. The coordinates led to a human colony trapped by a rogue energy storm, far beyond the reach of standard fleet assistance. Kieran knew this would be a true test. He activated the Eternum's advanced navigation and energy systems, charting a course directly through the storm. The storm was wild and chaotic, energy arcs lashing unpredictably. Automated systems could not calculate a safe path, but Kieran relied on human intuition, adapting in real time to each new challenge. He redirected energy to shields, adjusted gravity fields, and projected protective barriers around the colony. Every adjustment required focus, skill, and creativity. Hours passed, but Kieran guided the ship with calm precision. Finally, the colony was safe. The storm dissipated, and the humans sent messages of gratitude that filled Kieran with a quiet sense of satisfaction. He realized that the Eternum was not just a weapon or a ship. It was a tool to protect, explore, and connect civilizations. As he returned to the bridge, Kieran reflected on how far he had come. The trembling hands of a mechanic had transformed into the steady hands of a captain, capable of facing galactic-scale threats. The galaxy had tested him repeatedly, and each time he had risen, his human creativity, courage, and determination had proven essential. Even in the face of overwhelming technology and alien forces, the holographic assistant appeared beside him. "Captain Thorne, your record is unprecedented. Human potential, when combined with advanced technology, exceeds expectations. The galaxy has noticed. Recognition and respect are expanding." Kieran nodded. "I didn't do this for recognition. I did it because it was the right thing, and because humans can achieve more than anyone expected." Outside the ship, the stars stretched endlessly, promising new challenges, new discoveries, and new adventures. Kieran knew that he had only scratched the surface of the Eternum's potential, and that the galaxy would continue to test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But for the first time, he was confident, capable, and ready. The Eternum thrummed beneath him, a pulse of life, power, and history. Kieran placed his hand on a console, feeling the energy flow through him. Together, they had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The galaxy had underestimated humans, but Kieran knew the truth. Human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability were forces that could shape the stars themselves. He turned to the hologram. "Prepare a full course for exploration beyond mapped sectors. We are going to discover what humanity can do in the galaxy." "Understood, Captain Thorne," the assistant replied. "The Eternum awaits your command." Kieran took a deep breath and settled into the captain's chair. The stars ahead seemed closer than ever, beckoning him forward. He smiled faintly, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of adventure. He had inherited the largest ship in the galaxy, and he had learned to command it with skill, courage, and human creativity. The galaxy had watched humans before and dismissed them. No longer, Kieran Thorne, the mechanic-turned-captain, had proven that even the smallest human could wield power, solve impossible problems, and face challenges that seemed beyond reach. And as the Eternum surged forward, faster than any fleet had ever traveled, Kieran knew that humanity's true place in the galaxy was just beginning to unfold. The stars were waiting, the galaxy was watching, and a human with steady hands and a sharp mind was ready to show the universe what humans could achieve. For Kieran Thorne, the journey was far from over. But now, the trembling hands of a mechanic had become the guiding force of the galaxy's largest ship, and the galaxy would never forget it.